All right, welcome friends to the nerdiest thing you're going to do all week. It is the Survivor Power Rankings. I'm your host, the guy who felt really good about his Yam Yam pick until he picked up that immunity win, Gordon Holmes. And I'm joined by a man who paid me a visit in the city of brotherly love and learned that his reward for all this mess was just 2 cups of coffee. I'm talking about Survivor 43 finalist, Owen Knight. Hey, Owen.
Hey, Gordon. Hey, y'all. How's it going? Yeah, it was great to finally meet in person. I know we'd obviously done our exit press at the end of 43, but it was cool to catch up and walk around Philly a bit. I had a great time at the Bryson Wendell party and watching Survivor up there with some friends. And now I'm here for my cousin's wedding in Maryland. So hence the new backdrop today.
Nice. And I'll throw here's a picture of us. It's in front of Love Park in Philadelphia. It was
How
really
appropriate.
great to meet Owen. It was okay to meet Owen. It was great to meet his fiance. She's going to be my competition for the Survivor 45 Power Rankings, just FYI. But we really had a great time. And it was awesome getting to know you. So, what did you think of that episode?
Yeah, I thought it was a super fun one. I mean, obviously, watching with the big crowd of fans was super exciting with the idol play and the cool challenge and everything. And for me, it was really cool watching Last Gasp again. I mean, not to brag, they did go under 2 hours. So that was kind of
Amateurs.
vindicating. Although I will say their tide was definitely different. It was rising more consistently, but I don't know. They never got submerged as much as we did. But props to Jam Jam on that. It was really funny him just not hearing Jeff at all when he had won and Danny having to like cannonball in there and he ended up waterboarding him more. But yeah, no, I mean, props to Carolyn once again for her great reads. I mean, I rewatched the episode this morning and just seeing like, just the way her spidey senses were tingling and understanding that something was up and kind of fishing for that information. I thought she handled this round really, really well. And I know people are giving her a hard time because she didn't have to play the idol, but I mean, to me, at least, it seems like Jaime and Lauren did not vote the way that maybe would have been in their best interest. So I don't blame Carolyn for not seeing that coming and just sticking with her guns and playing the idol. I thought that was great. Thought Carson handled the information well. I just thought it was very interesting. But I will say my one gripe is that Carson and the Tikas keep saying that after this round they'll have the majority and they'll have the numbers, but three is just half of
Nope.
six. So we'll see what happens here. But I thought it was a lot of fun. I think what is this four really strong episodes in a row. So it's been really great without the kind of over inundation of twists. So yeah, had a blast watching.
I think Carolyn's gift is appreciating what other people will think is the best for their game. We saw it earlier when she didn't understand why Carson would want to work with her, which was a pretty good point. I think all of us didn't expect Carson to work with her when he had that early alliance. As far as that challenge, that's not for me. Like, it's so easy. I feel like anybody just hold their breath underwater. It's nothing to be super impressed by. No, I that's an old school Survivor challenge, which I love that kind of stuff. I did have an issue with the editing because, like you said, Jaime and Lauren, like as I'm watching it, I'm like, wow, Carolyn saved the day. And then once the numbers got read, I'm like, oh, she didn't save the day. Like
Why? Yeah.
I don't have a problem with her playing the idol because she, like I said, I don't think it was in Jaime and Lauren's best interest. I don't understand why they did what they did. I feel like that's a new editing trope with Survivor where the big surprise will happen and you got to tune in next week to see why they voted the way they did if they remember to tell us at all. So that's kind of, and this isn't sour grapes because of how poorly I performed last week, but it's like I heading into this week with rankings, it's like I have no idea why Jaime and Lauren thought that was their best move. So it's challenging. But other than that, like again, I do like the less focus on twists and whatnot. So and again, still enjoy this cast quite a bit. I wish they did a better job. Like, give me 3 options that might happen at Tribal, have all 3 of them make sense, and then when one happens, I just figure that's the way they went. Like, in a million years, I never thought Jaime and Lauren would go with them. So that's my issue.
Yeah.
Is just, and I think that's how you end up with, as we talked about, like when Gabler won, I don't think they showed it. I don't think they showed enough for me to appreciate that as a win. I want to be surprised in hindsight or in pre-sight.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't make sense. So that's where I am.
Yeah. I think the All Gabler rewatch will do people some good. Like, I really do think 43 will age well. But yeah, it's been a shame seeing some of these players who are clearly dynamic people and can give good confessionals. Like, we're just not hearing their perspective strategically. And
Yeah.
the editing's left a little to be desired from a balance standpoint. But I mean, when you got characters like Jam Jam and Carolyn, it's hard to not give them screen time. So I get it.
That's it. All right, so Owen had Danny in spot 6. I had Danny in spot 4. So that's a 2-point bump for Owen because he desperately needed it because his pitch from last week, it went over the plate, but a good 10 feet above the plate. So that's a 5-point strike in his direction. We're not going to hold him to that. We're not going to hold him to that. But the current score is Team Holmes 73, Team Knight an insurmountable 88 at this point. The viewers, let's see what we got. We had a lot of people call it. Very impressive. In spot 7, Joy survives at the end. Deb Hawthorne, Jag519, Logan Smith, Potato Dog. I love you, Potato Dog. Kevin, Nadia Young, and Seth Quinn all had Danny in spot 7. In spot 6, tying with Owen, we had Girls Awesomer, Alex Milne, Braden, Chris Hummel. Oh man, Hummelone. My handwriting is horrific. Hummelone. I'm so sorry if I got that wrong. Kristen Dicker, Garrett G, Mysterious Commentator, and JP15 is me. And also Zachary Weiss. In spot 5, we have Sanju, Kate Heineke. Sorry if I get that wrong. Scott Waldo, AJ Wood, and Big Brother Spoilers. Only one person did worse than I did. So thank you, Alan W, for picking Danny to be in spot 3rd. Or it would have been me. Which I am not comfortable with. I would not
on your
have
own
cool.
channel coming in the worst. That would have been pretty rough.
Well, and like I said, like I have no idea going into this week. I could be so off. This might just be light a match, toss it into my picks, and this explodes. Like I know I'm playing for second place at this point, but now that we're doing with the commentators, I might be playing for like 47th place, which is fine. I'm comfortable enough. As long as we all have fun, I think that's what matters. So. I won't rail against Survivor editing for too much longer.
Hey, quick shout out to the folks in the comment section. Did you see Anthony's potential suggestion to make the early stage of the game a little more balanced?
I did.
So you can't get a runaway.
Yeah, I wasn't in splitting it up into tribes. That seems like you always want to be careful. It's not too many rules, but I did like a lot of the way that a lot of the thoughts into that. So take it into account. As next year when your fiance and I square off. For the 45 rankings. I'll have to run them by her to see if she's.
I just don't want you to get hosed again,
It's the Knight family's just like mopping the floor with this poor lonely Survivor commentators, just trying his best. Okay, so let's get into it. The rules are as follows. Each week, our 2 combatants will create separate power rankings. The ranking of the person who is voted out of the next episode will determine the number of points that player will earn. For example, if Jaime is voted out this episode, Owen will receive 6 points and Gordon will receive 5. At the end of the season, the person who has the most points will be named the Survivor 44 Power Rankings Challenge Champion. One important note, rankings are not based on who the players think is most likely to win the entire season. The smart strategy is to rank players based on how safe you think they are in the upcoming vote. All right, Owen, ready to do this?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right. Whoa, that one surprised me. I thought I'd gotten used to
it. All right, number 1 this week I am going with Heidi. She is the only one with an idol left, and as far as I can remember, nobody knows. So it is truly hidden. So I think she'll be able to play it. She's had some serious nerves of steel to not play it so far. As she had mentioned in one of her confessionals, she's gotten votes every tribal so far recently, the past couple. And so we'll see if she's a little jumpy this time, but she seems to have a good sense of the game. I think her awareness is pretty solid. I'm curious, what her, I guess, vision is. I assume she would want to go to the end with the other women, with Lauren and Jaime. But we'll see if that is able to happen. The editing balance makes me a little apprehensive and nervous about that. But we'll see. But yeah, she's did well in the challenge as well. Props to her for coming in second on Last Gasp. But I think she's got a good chance to either play her idol correctly or not be the primary target if Tika is able to figure out the power structure there.
We didn't have a single lock of the week last week, and we're starting it off with one, though. Heidi, spot 1. As the only person who wasn't a part of the vote last week, she should be in really big trouble. But like we said, she's also the only person out there with an actual idol. Nobody knows she has it. And seeing as she was one parchment away from going home last week, I'm sure she's going to be ready to break it out. But then it also brings up the point, like you mentioned earlier, Tika's like, we've got the numbers. They don't have the numbers. Period. They definitely don't have the numbers as long as an idol is floating out there. So, but the question is, do Jaime and Lauren appreciate how dangerous Tika is? I think that's what I'm going to keep coming back to with my picks. Is I have no idea what that duo was thinking with that vote last week. So Heidi, I think she, she can't play it much longer. She was the only person that didn't vote with him last week. So I think she's absolutely, if necessary, going to bust that thing out. So Heidi, you're safe in spot one. In spot two, Carson. I think going forward, he's our most likely challenge winner. Aside from being young and fit, he also has puzzle prowess, which you're going to see a lot more and more of that as we go on. And honestly, Yam Yam and Carolyn have more heat on him after last week. Yam Yam won immunity, Carolyn played an idol. So I think if they get their stuff together and finally target Tika, which they should do, he's the most likely to win immunity, so he's the most likely to make it through.
I like that logic. I'm trying to remember. Final 6, we had a puzzle. Final 5, we had a word scramble. Final 4, we had the bowl stacking. So we'll see how it lines up for Carson if he makes it past this week. Who knows? But 6, they could be looking at a puzzle here.
Yeah, I wonder if word scrambles are going to be the move going forward, because you can't really prepare for that.
Yeah, you can't memorize. I mean, obviously, I remember hearing Ricard talk about thinking about survivor adjacent words of different, you think about torch and tribal and voting and things of that nature. But yeah, that's one that I think could be a good balance that still tests your brain, but it isn't something you can 100% replicate. So we'll see. But I did see
before we get into that, do we have time for a quick dumb Gordon at Survivor story?
Please.
So at Survivor Nicaragua, the press runs an immunity challenge while we're out there, so we can report on, it's really difficult to be a survivor and etc. And the press would always get their butts kicked by the Dream Team, who are a group of production assistants who run the challenges all day, and they're all good looking and fit and young. And so I was at the art department and was pretty sure I had found the pieces for the challenge we were going to be doing, letter pieces. So I wrote them all down and then went back to my hotel and found you could put the letters in it and it would spit out, possible combinations. And one of the combinations was a tribe feast. So I was like, I'll be on the puzzle. And if we're winning, I'll take my time. But if we're behind, I'm just going to finish it real quick. Much ado about nothing. They ended up using a completely different puzzle. But know that I'm not above cheating. All's fair in Love and Survivor, Owen. I think you know that better than anybody. So I was 100%. Fully prepared. But yeah, maybe that's the move going really forward is word puzzles.
That's really good. I did see on the press release for this week, it sounds like they're going to do roll with it again as the reward challenge, with the big ball that I was strapped in. So it looks like they're doing that again. So they might do another puzzle at 6, if they're keeping the same structure of challenges here.
Is that the Russell Swan?
That is the Russell Swan. Yep, that is the Russell Swan. So yeah.
Another quick story. When I was out for Survivor Philippines, I was around the art department and they had the giant balls there, and we knew Russell was back. We're like, people are monsters. Why would they possibly have this here when poor Russell is here? I digress.
That was so scary. Oh, yeah. But anyway, we'll see. Carson, I think that's a really good logic. I'm going in a different direction for number 2, though. I've got Yam Yam at my second spot. I don't know why exactly. My guess is that Tika has a hold on the game. I think they're in a position where they could somehow force some division between Heidi, Lauren, and Jaime, just given how the vote went last episode. Perhaps they try to get some heat onto Heidi, work with Lauren and Jaime, and then Heidi plays her idol, and then one of the other women goes home. I'm not exactly sure what could go down, but just given the way the editing has gone, it's hard to ignore. It's hard to ignore such a disparity between the Tika 3 and the other 3.
Yeah.
And I don't want to turn my assessment into Survivor into this edgic thing, but it's hard to not notice that they've gotten so much more screen time. So I think Yam Yam, he is so social, he's so likable. We're getting into the territory where that's obviously going to be dangerous, but just the way they were celebrating him when he won that challenge, people clearly love him. So I think he might be able to buy himself another round, even if things happen to not go Tika's way.
Yeah, and I'm not an edit reader, but how do you stop Tika at this point? How unsatisfying would that be at this point? I feel like we know next to nothing about the other 3 women. So
yeah, it's a shame. It really is a shame. And no fault of the players, obviously. Yes. But yeah, moving on to three, similar. So I'm going to Carolyn here in my third spot. I was kind of waffling between Carson or Carolyn in terms of who is safer. I still think Carolyn to me might read as someone who people would want to sit at the end with, but the idol play really I thought was brilliant. I thought that was such a good read, but I still don't know. Like I could see people in the game justifying it as being the wrong mathematical decision as to a reason why that would be like worse for Carolyn's game, even though like when you take a step back and think about like the logic of all of it, it was a perfectly sensible move and I thought a really, really great one. But when you're out there and you're hungry and you're tired and you're starving and you're paranoid, you don't go through those like same levels of decisions or thought process. So I could see people being like, oh, she didn't even play her idol right, blah, blah, blah. So I think she's not going anywhere. I think the Tika 3 is going to figure a way out of how to do it. And I think she is not number one on the hit list if somehow Heidi, Lauren, and Jaime are able to get on the same page.
Yeah, and as a a guy on my couch, having never played the game, I feel like there are points to be won by nobody knew about the idol. She kept it secret for so long, and she played it for someone other than herself, and it didn't work out perfectly, but it also wasn't a disaster. So
No, not at
I
all.
definitely would not, as a juror, would not hold that against Carolyn. I had Jam Jam in three. You made a great point. Everybody lost their minds. They were so giddy when Jam Jam won. He's a likable guy. But did that strike you as people who were hoping to vote him out later? All we saw beforehand were them like, it's got to be Jam Jam. Jam's got to go. And then he wins and they're like, huzzah. They didn't say huzzah. But I think there's some editing shenanigans at play there because I don't think he was their target. I think people love him. I think they're not afraid to sit with him at the end just because, he hasn't had like mega moves. He hasn't had like, these big challenge wins. But I think he's well liked. And I think if Tika, like I said, I think if people turn on Tika, I don't think he'll necessarily be the first person to go for him. So Jam Jam got you in spot 3. In spot 4, Carolyn. Okay, here's my $1,000,000 question. One that in his exit interview, Danny did not do a great job of answering. Is anyone afraid to take Carolyn to the end? Because sometimes people go a long way and they don't get any votes, and that's their argument. It's like, hey, I survived this long, and nobody targeted me because they're not afraid of you. That's kind of like the tightrope you walk. Up to this point, has anybody been worried about going to the end with Carolyn? Is she lovable, quirky, like she's being edited, or is she annoying, quirky, like I'd imagine happens when you're trapped in Fiji with somebody? That's my question, my main question about Carolyn, because based on the TV edit, she could get to the end and win in my book. But I don't have a great feel for what's going out there, and Danny did not do a great job answering my question. I was like, so you said you were afraid of Carson. Who else are you afraid of? And he said, everybody. And I'm like, well, that's doesn't help. Or
Very
it's accurate too.
diplomatic.
Yeah. But that is a point that maybe someone like Jaime, someone like Lauren, who we haven't seen a lot from, maybe the jury loves them, and maybe so. Like again, that's just where I am with this. It's like the editing is not helping me out here. So I think Tika's going to survive this, and I think Carolyn's going to be safe in spot 4. Safe-ish. It's spot 4.
Safe-ish. Yeah. Well, my number 4, I've got Carson there, just because I think he was the target this week. Everyone he is presenting apparently as the most threatening of the Tika 3. I do think there's a solid chance there's a puzzle this week and he wins it if there is a puzzle. But still, I think just from the fact that his name has been out there, people were willing to write it down. I think they're going to keep trying. So I have him at the bottom of the Tika 3, but I still think the Tika 3 are going to figure it out. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And just to your point about Danny's exit press, I didn't have the chance to watch it this week, but I got to say, it must be so hard doing those and not trying to spoil the season. Because like for me, I did mine after the season was over. So I was able to talk about everything freely and not really be worried. So that must be really difficult to like be as honest and forthcoming as you can about your experience without like screwing it up.
Yeah, and I'll be. Somebody mentioned that in the comments section. They were like, it seemed like he was worried about spoiling things, which is 100% the vibe I got from him. And like, I've been doing this forever, and sometimes you just don't click with an interviewee, and that I think that's the case with that. I think Danny's a great guy. Just I felt like some apprehension on his part, which I totally get. Like, you don't want to. CBS is on the line. I'm sure they're with ready to jump on you if you say something you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But no, like I did absolutely get that feel from him. Nice guy. Just you could just sense a little bit of apprehension.
Yeah. for sure. I mean, that's you get in big trouble if you spoil something. So I get it. So it sounded like we've got the same two folks in the bottom two. Just remains to be seen who's fifth, who's sixth. So for me, I'm going to have Lauren in fifth here, solely for the fact that I think she is more likely to win the challenge than Jaime is. She's already won the chimney sweep one, and that is my one anecdotal information that I'm going to use to give her a little edge. I will say though, it sounded like I can't remember who was talking. I think it might have been Danny saying like after Jam Jam, he viewed Lauren as a big threat. I think she is very likable. She's super personable, and I just wish we've gotten to see more of her strategy. But yeah, I think the most likely scenario is that somehow the Tika three are able to keep driving a wedge between Heidi, Lauren, and Jaime and figure out a way to turn the votes onto one of them. And then perhaps Heidi's idol gets involved, or just a simple 4-2 vote out. But I think Lauren could be targeted, but I'm hoping immunity saves her. But I wouldn't be surprised if she does get the boot this week. But I'll put her in fifth here.
Okay, well, we have the opposite in the final two. I have Jaime in spot 5. And the reason is because there was no talk of Jaime's fake real idol this week. And according to Danny, he was pretty confident that it was really gone, that it didn't exist or whatever because she hadn't played it. And I guess he had a heart-to-heart talk, and however she expressed it, he finally believed it. So it seems like the heat is off of Jaime. So, and obviously, her and Lauren working as a unit seems like they're on the same level. However, Jaime hasn't won immunity. So I think Tika's going to view Lauren as a little bit more of a threat. So I have Jaime in fifth, and not surprisingly, in spot 6, I have Lauren. Like I said before, I tried to press Danny for who's afraid to go to the end with, and he said everybody. So, if we're all that equal, if everybody's on the same page, Lauren's got an immunity win and Jaime doesn't. So yeah, Lauren hasn't got any votes. She has won an immunity. She's been on the right side of the vote recently. I don't know. Until I know why they voted with Tika, I'm going to struggle with this whole thing, and that's going to be my issue going forward. And I hope it's not one of the things they just drop when the episode starts next week. It starts with Heidi, being upset, and then cut to a reward challenge. Like, tell us why they decided to vote for Danny, why they're not afraid of Tika. That's all I ask. So, but I think Lauren, her number is up this week.
Yeah, that probably honestly makes more sense than the order I have them in. I do have Jaime last.
Yeah, but you keep winning.
Yes, that's true. You got to take some risks here. We'll see. But yeah, I've got Jaime last. I kind of forgot. They kind of just glossed over that whole idol business. So that's probably that probably means something here. But yeah, I just don't see them winning out in terms of this power struggle here. And I'm curious to hear your exit interview with whoever goes first out of Lauren and Jaime to understand the logic there. I'm sure they have their reasons. I'm sure it makes sense on paper. But it's just a shame that the story didn't get told in the edit, because then it leaves a lot of fans being like, well, what the hell are y'all doing? But yeah, Jaime's been perfectly affable, very, very fun to watch. Her confessionals have been great. And I think she's as a human being, taken a lot of this goofy edit in stride very, very well. But I imagine them too, their days are numbered. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Don't get me wrong. I would love if the editing on Survivor, the vagueness of it drove people to Survivor Exit Press on YouTube. I'd be all for that. But I don't have a lot of faith. You shouldn't wait 2 weeks later for, the little Gordon Holmes YouTube show to be like, all right, why Danny? Like that, come on. Like there's such a big audience, and they're not all watching me on YouTube, although they should. Okie dokie, there are our picks. Did I say okie dokie? That's not cool. All right, our picks are locked in. Okie dokie. We have one lock of the week. That's Heidi in spot 1. I don't know how you get safer than that, Owen. I don't know how you do better.
She might as well have it. We should give her an immunity necklace right now. She's good to go.
Yeah, Heidi, welcome to the finale. You did it. You made it. Good job. Our biggest disparity of the week was Carson, the Rocket Man. I had him in spot 2, and Owen had him in spot 4. So if he goes, don't get me wrong, this is over. We're done. Owen is our Survivor Power Rankings champion. I'll just say that right now. But if Carson goes home, then he is dead. Like that. Wrap it up. I will not be anybody's best man. At any upcoming weddings. Yeah. So Carson, if he goes, that's our biggest disparity. All right, that's it. Our picks are locked in. Put your picks in the comment section below. If you beat Owen and I, we'll give you a shout out. If you do horribly, we'll make fun of you. we're gonna call out what you do anyway. Honestly, there's 6 spots left. How badly can you do? Unless Heidi goes home. If Heidi goes
Not
home,
too bad. You'll be fine.
This whole thing's a farce. But yeah, be sure to come back this Thursday for my exit interview with either Lauren or Jaime. We'll see who it is. Owen, my friend, you rock. Come back to Philadelphia next weekend.
Yeah, man. We had a blast. The weather was great. The food was great. The people were great. Like honestly, the party, the watch party, those fans were so respectful of everyone's time. They were so friendly and outgoing, but they let us kind of move around and talk to other people. It was a really, really great energy the whole time. And so yeah, would love to come back and hang out again.
City of brotherly love. During the challenge, were they all like kind of like looking at you out of like the corner of their eyes?
Little bit. And I kept, talking at the camera. I was like, come on, you babies. Like, I had a little fun with
amateurs, let's go. Come on.
It reminded me of the Principal Skinner, like pathetic.
All right. Well, that's all we got. So we'll see you next Monday for the last episode of the season of the Survivor Power Rankings.
Only one more.
Here.